Hello and welcome to my space. I'm Manur and I used to be a student at Oxford. Now I've graduated, it's been a couple of years. I thought today I would just walk you through my experience and what I thought I would do if I was starting all over again. So it's not as any regrets or what I would like to change because I feel like when you're going through something, you do the best you can with the knowledge you have, with the resources you have. So, no regrets, nothing that I massively want to change. But if I was starting again now in 2026, what I would do differently. So, I started as an Oxford student in 2019 as a PhD student in oncology, and then graduated a couple of years ago. But now, when I reflect on my journey, or as what advice would I give to my younger self or someone starting now, I think the first and foremost thing I would do, or I would suggest you do, is to do a bit more research in terms of picking a supervisor. Now, I would like to clarify that I have nothing against my supervisor. In fact, he's one of my mentors still. Even after graduation, he's one of the people I can confidently reach out to if I need advice or anything. But I would still say that I would want to do a bit more research because while he is a great scientist and a great human as well, and I've absolutely loved knowing him, and it's, I think, a privilege to know someone so advanced in their field, but I would still say that just looking into how much time they have to give you, especially for me, because I was coming from Pakistan with while I had the knowledge, I did not have hands on lab experience. So, choosing a supervisor that was highly senior in the field and who was also busy with a lot of companies and a lot of other commitments, it meant that my supervisor was really hands off. He was not in Oxford most of the time and he was really busy with a lot of things. While he did his best to make time for things, it just meant that he was not hands on in the lab or so much available all the time. So while it was a big group and I did have support from postdocs in the lab, but postdocs again are really busy with their own career growth. They have to win their own grants, they have to prove themselves to move forward in their career. So they might also not have a lot of time. While some of them can be really nice and support you, it's not their responsibility. So I think choosing a supervisor with much more in-depth research of how much time they can give you and how much they can actually truly support you. Also, other than that, while these things you only find out when you get to the lab, but other than that, I think I would have wanted to be more proactive in the initial years in terms of choosing my supervisory team because you can add secondary supervisors and ask for more support. But I don't know why I really hesitated and took my time, like I was really slow with it. So I would want to change that. While I did have a secondary supervisor, everybody does have at least two supervisors. My secondary supervisor was a bit forgetful. So they didn't really remember I was their student and I had to constantly remind them. So reaching out for support there was a bit of like, meh, I couldn't really reach out for support there. So I think if I was starting again, I would be a bit more proactive, less scared to just ask for more support, just say that, oh, I need more supervisory support. Other than that, I think one of the things that I would really like to do if I was starting again, or it's my advice to anyone starting now, is to just be really confident in advocating for yourself. This I learned the hard way. If you're not advocating for yourself, no one else would. Just have the confidence to say what you can and cannot do, where you want more support. Because research is a really isolating journey and it is not with a lot of support. It's really hard to find the support you need. There's a lot of trainings you require. There'll be a lot of machines you probably use depending on what your PhD is in. There will be a lot of training in a lot of different functions, a lot of different areas and methodologies. So ask for those kind of supports and training earlier. In my case, the misfortune was as soon as I started, lockdowns hit and there was a pandemic worldwide. So everything was delayed massively. Nobody could have predicted it. And particularly here in Oxford, labs were closed for more than a year, particularly the department I worked in, because that was also the department where the vaccine was being made. So it took us more than a year to get back to labs. So a year of my journey just wasted. Which brings back to the next thing is funding because I was funded for 3 years. Now, this is something that was a bit miscommunicated because you should always look for, if you're getting a funded position, how long is it funded for? Because my scholarship letter said 3 years or up to the time of PhD. And when I had initially asked, my supervisor's understanding was also that, oh, until you finish the PhD, you have funding. But that wasn't true. And we learned this the hard way. So after a year of missing out of lab work, of course, I was already in my second year, but work hasn't really progressed, right? We were in lockdown. But I learned then that my funding would end the next year. And I was like really shocked to learn that I didn't have any other means to support myself. And my supervisor thought this could be extended, but it turned out that they would only give 3 months extra funding and not another year. So there was no value for like having missed that 1 year of lab work. There was no compensation or no extra funding for now what would be my third or fourth year. So I had to figure out all of that, which became a real hassle. So I had to apply for all sorts of bursaries, all sorts of financial assistance that the university could provide. But since this had impacted the entire university, there were hundreds of students applying for the same. So bursaries were not huge or wouldn't really cover all of my time here. So I had to reach out to support externally. I had to reach out to other people for support. And while I'm grateful that a lot of people came up and supported me, I still think planning ahead would have been great. I mean, I couldn't have predicted the pandemic, nobody could, but just having that clarification of what your scholarship letter says and how much the university or your supervisor will actually support you financially. Because coming from a lower income country or a developing country, getting support in pounds, which is higher economy in the UK, it's really hard because I don't come from a really wealthy family. My parents couldn't send me money, and I wouldn't do that to them because it would mean they lose a lot of their savings to just support me. And while we're allowed part-time work here, my supervisor was of the opinion that I should be spending more of my time in the lab. And I agreed to some extent because I had already missed out a year in terms of lab work. So spending time and doing part-time work was impacting my lab work as well. While I did try and do any part time work that I could find, one of the biggest barriers that hit me was Oxford is a really small city and it had two universities, Oxford and Oxford Brookes. So there was a massive surplus of students already looking for work, and part time work opportunities were rare. So I tried looking for work in Oxford around the cities, but opportunities were really, really rare because even for something as small as a store assistant, there were 100 applicants per position, so it was really hard to get into anything. I did find some part-time work here and there. University doesn't really have much to offer. The only thing I could work with university on was disability advisory services, where I could stand in as an invigilator or support someone with special needs in their exams, or do editing of some sort on the lectures and stuff. But those opportunities were also really limited. Tutoring opportunities in my case were also extremely limited because I chose a department and a college where there were no undergrad. So my department, oncology, did not have any undergrad program. Similarly, my college, Wolfson, did not have any undergrad program. So that meant that I wasn't eligible for tutoring because you can tutor either in your own department or your college. But since both of these did not have any undergrads, that was my extreme bad luck. There was no tutoring opportunity for me as such. So I think just knowing these things beforehand would have been so helpful. I would have tried to find other ways because funding, I think financial barriers become the biggest trouble, especially if you're an international student. If you rely on your stipend, on your scholarship for things as basic as rent and your groceries, your living basically depends on that. So once that's pulled out, it's really hard. So I think just planning for these things ahead would have been so much better. And other than that, I think just planning what you would want to do in the future. Because when I started my PhD, I really did want to go down the route of postdoc and becoming a lecturer and staying in academia because I love teaching. I would have loved to do that, which is why I also restarted my YouTube because I love talking to people, love teaching anything I can. So but I realized when I came here, which I didn't know, that the career graph to actually get to tutoring and teaching is really very long and opportunities are really thin. And I kind of like during my journey here lost interest in research with the number of barriers, with the financial constraints. So my career graph and what I wanted from my life really changed. And I think that's fine. That's all right. I'm happy where I am now. I don't work in the labs anymore. I work more as a project writer, medical writer. I prefer that much more. But knowing that I love to talk, I love to interact with people, I love presentations, but if you're working in the labs, those are not as much. You don't get to go to too many conferences. You go once or twice a year. If you're lucky, maybe a bit more. But I think, yeah, your career graph or what you want from life can change midway, and that's fine. But if it's something like you don't know what you want to do, then I would really say analyze whether a PhD is really worth it. Is it something that you really want to do? Because maybe not all careers would need a PhD. And one of the barriers that I did realize during that journey is that because when you're doing a PhD, while it's a professional degree, you're still in the lab, you're still technically a student, you're still in academia. A lot of industries do now ask for industry exposure and experience. While PhD gives you translational skills and you can translate them to pharma, you can go to big industries, but it's not always easy because there are people with a lot of experience. There are people who first went to pharma, then took a break, did a PhD. So those people stand out much more. Exposure to the work industries, exposure to some kind of work environment is considered much more of a good weapon than having a PhD. Because unfortunately, in developed countries like the UK, US, there's just too many PhDs now. While the degree would remain prestigious, while a degree from Oxford, any degree from Oxford will always remain prestigious, but we also need to have the reality check that the market is really tough. There are thousands of really highly qualified students and jobs are few. I'm not saying not to go down this route, not to do this. Follow your passion all you like. And I would encourage that. Follow your passion. I did. I'm not going to discourage anyone. But just know the ground reality is that the world is not a bed of roses. So you need to take out your rose tinted glasses and look at things much more practically. Now, this is not a call for panic, or I'm not asking you to just give up on your dreams. I'm just reflecting on what I wish I knew before, or if I was starting again. Would I go down this route? Maybe, but I would probably, I think, be more proactive in being more active, like just be more active in searching for jobs, be more active in doing other things, internships, taking time out. Like, I think just taking some time out for learning something else as well. Because I think one of the things we forget during research degrees and masters and PhDs is we are researching one topic and then we go down that route in real depth. But the world keeps moving, more things keep coming, like we're seeing today with AI. That so much more is happening around the world. You need to learn so many things to be valuable to the industry. So I think just taking some time out, if I'm starting again, this is what I would do. I would take some time out to learn other skills as well. While a research degree takes a lot of focus, takes a lot of work out of you, but I would still, I think, want to make time to learn other skills and be more marketable than just a PhD. I mean, it feels bad to say just a PhD, but with what I've learned through my experience, I would want to spend more time developing many more other skills, as many as I could, because I think the thing is, you should not stop learning ever, and you should learn from whatever you can. Because one thing I've learned is I need to keep moving with the world. I need to be employable. I need to be financially stable. I need to sustain myself. Because even after a degree, a master's, a PhD, whatever degree you have, to be employable, you need to stand out. And to stand out, you need to be doing many more other things than just your degree. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope I've not discouraged you because that wasn't the intent. I'm just rambling and waffling about my own experiences, but I really hope this was helpful. If you have any questions or any suggestions, please do comment down below, and I would love to get in touch with you again. Bye.